Hello everyone, my name is Ryan, and in this lesson I'll be showing you how to work with CSS font sizes. So you'll see I have an HTML page in front of me. It's got a heading. You'll see in the live preview it just highlights it when I click on it. It's got a paragraph. It's got a strong element, and within that strong element it has a M element, which is for emphasis. The M element is normally rendered in italics and the strong element in bold. Okay, then you'll notice I also have a link tag linking to an external style sheet called fontsize.css, and I have currently set this to an empty file. Okay, so to begin, I just want to mention that when you use a link tag, there's a attribute which is optional called media, and this can be set to various different values, as you can see here. The two popular ones that we use are screen, which is the default, and print, which is when you print to a printer. Now obviously when you print to a piece of paper, the paper has different dimensions to a screen. A screen is measured in pixels, so and every screen is different. And a piece of paper has a certain width and a certain height. So let's quickly have a look at some of the units of measurement that we get for both print and screen. So firstly, print. So for print we get centimeters and millimeters, and we also get point sizes, and we get inches. So the point sizes are used when you work with a word processor such as MS Word, and you set your font to a size 10 or 12. You are in fact using the unit of points for your font size. Now for screen, it's a little different. We have an absolute unit of measurement known as pixels, but we also have some relative units, and those are ems, rems, and percentage. So we'll talk about the difference between an absolute unit of measurement such as pixels and a relative unit of measurement such as ems. So to begin, let's have a look at the browser that I have open in front of me, and let's go into the browser settings. So within Chrome, if you do a search for font and you go to customize fonts, you'll see that the default font size is 16. And they say that this is the default font size for a paragraph of text. Usually a heading is double that. So a heading would be 32 pixels in this case, and a paragraph 16. 16 pixels, 32 pixels. But you'll see that within the settings I can actually change this value. So if I set it to say 24, and I go back to the browser, you'll see the standard paragraph size has changed to 24 pixels. And seeing that the heading is double that, it's doubled in size. It's now 48 pixels. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and set that back to... Actually, before I set that back, let's go and create a rule for the paragraph and set the font size back down to 16. Notice how it changed in the browser to 16. So you'll see that by creating a rule in CSS with an absolute unit of measurement, we're actually overriding the default browser font size. The heading has still remained the same, but that can also be overridden quite easily. If I set that back to its default of 32, notice how it changed here. Now, no matter how much I change the font size here, it's not going to make any difference to a heading or a paragraph. It may make a difference to a heading 2 or heading 3 because I haven't defined rules for that, but it certainly won't to a normal heading 1 or a paragraph. Okay, I want to set that back now to 16. Also wanted to show you in Firefox where you can do that. So if you go to your Firefox settings, preferences, and you go to content, you'll see there fonts and colors. Default font size is also set to 16 pixels, and that's for paragraph. Now, on a cell phone or a tablet, this font size may be different depending on which device you're using or which browser you're using. So always realize that you can override those default font settings with your CSS file by using an absolute unit of measurement. Okay, so now we're going to switch over to using some of the relative units of measurement. So I'm going to start with ems. So 1 em is equivalent to whatever the parent element font size is. So for example, the parent element to the strong element is the paragraph. The parent element to the em tag is the strong tag. And the parent element to the paragraph is in fact the body. So if I go to my CSS and I clean out all the rules and I have a look at the browser, then the paragraph is by default 16 pixels and the heading is double that, which is 32 pixels. So let us go and set the paragraph font size to a fixed unit of 20 pixels. So notice how the paragraph increased. Now I'm going to change the value of the strong tag. So I'm going to set the font size to 1em. So remember 1em is the equivalent of whatever the parent is. If we look at the HTML, the entire paragraph is set to 16 pixels to 20 pixels because of the CSS. And the strong, which is a child of the paragraph, is set to 1em, which means it's the exact equivalent of whatever the parent font size is. That's the exact equivalent of the paragraph. But now, if I have a look, I have also got a further child of the strong, which is the em tag. So if I come in here and I change the em tag's font size to, let's say, 2ems, that means I'm doubling the size and it's going to be double whatever the parent is. So now let's calculate what is the actual font size of this emphasis element. Well, the parent of the em tag is the strong tag, and the strong tag is set to 1em. Therefore, the strong tag is the equivalent of whatever the parent is, which is 20 pixels. So therefore, the em tag is double 20, which is 40. Now, what happens if I change the strong tag to have a value of 0.5 ems? So what that means is that I've halved the size of the strong tag relative to its parent, which is the paragraph. So the paragraph is 20 pixels, so therefore the strong will now be 10 pixels. So that's 20 and that is 10. But seeing that the em tag was still a child of the strong and the em tag was set to 2ems, this means that the em tag should be double whatever the parent is. So we know the parent is 10, so therefore the em should be 20. So in this case, the em is the exact same size as the paragraph. Okay, now if I change the paragraph to 30, notice how everything else changes relative to that because of the parent. And now if I set the paragraph to, let's say, 1em, which is a relative unit of measurement, where is the paragraph getting its font size from? Well, the parent of the paragraph is the body, and because I haven't defined anything, it will be whatever the browser setting is, which is in this case 16 pixels. So let's go and set the body font size to 15 pixels. Actually, let's make it 20 pixels. And you see that just by changing the value of the font size for the body, I'm also changing the value for the paragraph, the strong, and the M. So that is the difference between absolute units of measurement and relative units of measurement. I would say that if you're designing a site just for a desktop environment, there's nothing wrong with using an absolute unit of measurement. But remember, these days we have many different devices that surf the internet, including phones and tablets. So generally, a relative unit of measurement is more effective, because then no matter what the device is, the font size will be relative to whatever its default setting is for that device. So these days I would recommend using EMS as your unit of measurement.